I'm standing here in front of an elevated bed where it feels like the plants have started doubling in size literally every week. Hey folks, if we haven't met before, my name is Tara. I garden in the California Bay Area and I'm a master gardener, and my job is to help you not just grow but also love the process of growing. And lately I've been growing a lot in containers, elevated beds, as well as in my wonderful 15 GreenStalks. So let's do a garden tour in mid-May and check what's growing here, because there's a lot that's going on. So just to give you a kind of feel for what's going on over here right now in the Bay Area, the weather has warmed up substantially. It's in the mid-80s during the daytime. In fact, next week we're going to be in the 90s. And so we are transplanting everything into our garden. In fact, we are pretty much done. I'm still a little delayed, but we're pretty much done transplanting everything that we need to transplant. We are direct seeding a whole bunch of stuff. Beans, melons, cantaloupes, cucumbers, all can be direct seeded. And I'm also getting a second batch of tomatoes started, because guess what? We have a long growing season and we can plant tomatoes back to back and get high quality harvests throughout our growing season, which extends all the way through the end of November. Now, I do a lot of videos where I show you my elevated beds, my GreenStalks, and oh, by the way, my GreenStalk fam, what do you think about the two new colors that GreenStalk has announced for, I guess, summer? The tomato color and the beautiful sage color. I can't wait. I'm definitely getting the tomato color. The sage color I'm still thinking about, but I'll probably get that too. But anyway, I digress. What I wanted to tell you was I'm also going to be showing you my in-ground, because a lot of you have asked me to show you my entire garden, and I want to show you particularly today all that I'm planting in ground in my raised beds, because guess what? My husband and my son built a squirrel-proof cage around 6 of my largest beds, and so finally I can use them again. So I want to show you what I've gotten there, as well as a really new and pretty cool tomato trellising method that I'm trying for the first time this year, and I want your opinion on it. So since we're here already, let me first start off with this very large elevated bed from Vego garden. 3 weeks ago, that's when I put this together, and the plants have grown huge since then. Now this bed is 10 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 1 foot deep. And I've got an entire video where I show you exactly how I fill up this entire bed for a very low cost. So definitely check out that video. I've got tons of really great tips on how to garden in the cheap when it comes to soil, which is probably the most expensive thing that we spend money on every year in the garden. So check out that video. I'll put a link to it somewhere over here. But let me show you the plants, and I'll show you a before picture as well, so you can see what they looked like 3 weeks ago. So both these are elevated planters on wheels. They are movable planters. They're both from Vego Garden. And by the way, I am a Vego Garden affiliate, so I'll put a link and all of that with discount codes if you're interested in any of these products. But I want to always show you progress updates on how they're doing, because I do product reviews, and so I owe it to you to show you the progress as well. And oh, by the way, congratulations to the giveaway winner of this beautiful planter, as well as these lovely new tomato cages, solid tomato cages. So anyway, let's see what's going on in this bed right here. So I've got an entire kitchen garden practically that I am planting in this, or I have planted in this. And let's start out with the zucchini. I tried and caged it up because I noticed the other day that something had gotten and started digging. And I have a feeling it was mice, not squirrels, mice. The squirrels don't tend to come this close to my house. It could be them, but I had irrigation tubing set up around it. And I pulled off the irrigation tubing because I think they were using it as a highway to get into this bed. And after that, I haven't seen them, but you know, who knows? These mice are really, really smart, rats particularly. And what I've got growing here, I've got first this Amish paste tomato. It was just this skinny little thing just 3 weeks ago, and look at it. It's almost reached the top of the first level of the cage, and then it's got another, I guess, 3 feet or so to go all the way to the top, and it's gonna get there. It's growing really fast, started producing flowers, and what I like to do is keep the bottom really clean. And actually I'm going to do 2 leaders, so you can see I've got a V over here. I'm letting this sucker grow and I'm removing all the other suckers. And I'm gonna grow this as 2 liters. Let's see how much it produces for me. I've got 2 other tomato plants over here. I've got this little one over here. This is a dwarf tomato plant called Mary's Choice. Never grown it before, but dwarf tomatoes, you guys, they are awesome, especially for small space gardens because they grow no more than like 3-4 feet tall and they produce full-size tomatoes. So I've got Mary's Choice over there and I've got this one I believe is called Dwarf Beauty King, and they're all already flowering. And oh yeah, my eggplant Black Beauty is taking off. So these are all the things that I love eating, and so I'm growing them. I've got zucchini. This is Danja zucchini. It's an F1 hybrid and it is already producing zucchinis for me. I've got bitter melon in the back. My in-laws who are diabetic absolutely love bitter melon, and it's a very nutritious vegetable if you know how to prepare it. And I've got some recipes. Let me know in the comments if you want me to share. And I've also got cucumbers. So I've got, this is an unagi F1 variety. I believe it's parthenocarpic, which means it doesn't need a male-female flower pollination thing. So I am growing several of these plants. I'm also growing the straight 8 market cucumbers, your standard cucumbers that you get, I think, in the market. That's what they are, the straight 8. No, those are market more. So these are, not really sure. But anyway, this is a very common variety. And I've also got pole beans. So what else do I have here? I've got basil. This is Thai basil. Actually, it's cardinal basil. Beautiful purple flowers. One of the prettiest basils that you can grow. This is Genovese basil. And I've got pepper plants. How could I forget that? I've got a Peruvian pepper right here, and I've got a couple of jalapenos over here. And of course, marigolds all the way in the front. They're all coming into bloom. And so this thing is packed. And guess what, you guys? I've also got peanuts. I'm hiding them from the squirrels because I know the squirrels and the rats or whatever's digging over here is gonna get it if they find it. And I'm gonna see them popping up all over the place. That's the first one to come up. So this bed is gonna be really crowded, and that is the intent. I wanted to have its own little nice microclimate over here, and I want the plants to kind of shade each other out and shade each other out. How silly is that? I want them to kind of protect each other, let's call it that way, from our extreme heat which we have in our hot, dry summers. And this bed over here behind me, the 4 feet by 2 feet, is also a highly productive bed. I got it initially to have as an herb garden, and I have since used it for a variety of other things. Actually, I grew some amazing tomatoes and cucumbers, all kinds of things in summer of last year. And right now it's in transition. Actually, let me show you. So what I mean by in transition is it contains cool weather crops that will eventually get pulled out of here. These are all onions and they are starting to bulb up, so I'll get rid of them. And not really sure what I'll plant over here. Haven't quite figured it out, but oh my gosh, you guys, check this out. This is creeping verbena. Don't you love this candy cane? It is so cute. I'll show you my other creeping verbenas as well. And oh, by the way, I'm growing a lot of coleus. I planted all of these from seed. This is the Pinto Mix from Baker Creek. And I've got so many lovely varieties that I'm hoping actually to overwinter so I don't have to start them from seed again next year. But they're relatively easy to start from seed, even if they don't make it. Another bed that is doing actually really, really well is my Costco Cedar Craft planter. Now, I've complained about this a lot, but you guys, this planter has done so well for me that I really feel guilty whenever I say things about it. It's just that it's not in very good shape, but the soil in here, I always say the older the soil, the better, right? So this soil is about 3, maybe close to 4 years old. This planter itself is about 5 years old. I got it secondhand, and we are just patching it, putting metal straps underneath it to prevent the self-watering thing from falling out. So we've done all kinds of things. We painted it over, and my husband calls it an eyesore, but do you think it's an eyesore, you guys? It looks gorgeous. I've got petunias that overwintered and came back. I've got calendula and my sweet potato that I planted from slips from just potatoes that I had growing inside. Sometimes, you know, in your pantry, they just sort of take off. So I broke off the slips and planted them, and they're all growing. And hidden in the midst over here is a couple of tomato plants, and they are actually producing tomatoes already. This is the Tiny Tim, and it looks so healthy and so nice. I actually have to show you some more interesting Tiny Tims in my greenhouse. Don't let me forget. But what I wanted to show you in this planter, you guys, is, you know what this is? This is a strawberry plant. Look at those leaves. They are as large as my hand. Oh my goodness, this plant is huge. I've got the same strawberry variety growing in other parts. They're all normal size, I would say, but this one is huge and it's producing a bunch of flowers, so hopefully I'll have fruit soon. I've actually harvested a couple from it already, but yeah, and this is producing runners, and this variety I believe is the Albion variety, growing really well. And then I've got some hanging baskets over here with Lisianthus. If you saw the video that I did recently where I helped my friend Max set up her GreenStalks, she said that she was most excited to grow Lisianthus in the GreenStalk. And so I gave her a few. I grew these from seed, and I'm so proud of it because Lisianthus is really hard to grow from seed, and they are producing little buds. So hopefully the next time I show you a tour, I will have Lisianthus to show you. I just can't wait. Quickly show you these 3 Vego planters as well, Vego garden planters. These are all self-watering planters. So those are called, I think, rolling tomato cages or something. Of course, you can plant anything you like in them. I've actually got a Tamarillo tree growing in this. This is going on, I think this is year 3, and I'm actually hoping for some fruit because I noticed that there are flowers already forming, but this was dormant. It just kind of came out of dormancy and started growing like crazy. So I'm hoping that this is the year. But you guys, this self-watering planter, it's something else. Now I will tell you that you do have to stay on top of keeping it full. This tree drinks water like crazy. So if you're planting something adventurous like I'm doing over here, you got to keep watering it or keep filling up the water in it. So the self-watering thing, yeah, the plant gets used to it, but it starts growing really tall and using up all that water. Same with this one. So this one also, I had huge plants last season. Cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, everything grew all the way through past my roof over there, and it's all mainly because it has a huge 20-gallon tank underneath, and the plants never struggled for water. Something to be said about plants getting the water that they need. They do amazingly well. If they have to keep drying out and then you water it and they don't have access when they need it, they just don't do as well. That's what's called inconsistent watering. No inconsistent watering over here. So I have not yet done too much with this. This is still kind of leftover plants from last year, except I stuck in a little Tiny Tim tomato over here. But I'm going to do a refresh of this planter. But it's looking so pretty with more creeping verbena showing up all over the place, and my adorable little Johnny jump ups that are going to be gone pretty soon. They are cool season flowers. Okay, my GreenStalks are also in transition from spring to summer, but let me show you what they are doing. So I have slowly started pulling out plants, amending, and I am trying a little experiment where I am just backfilling. I think it's going to backfire on me because I did a complete restack of this one the other day, and there was a lot of gunk in that gray disc in between. So I have a feeling it's going to be the same with these guys, but I'm just gonna grin and bear it, and I'm gonna just backfill all of these and kind of see how they do. I've noticed that the water seems to be flowing okay because I am not pocket watering, but I am seeing that the soil is looking nice and moist. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just working. Now look at this, you guys. I can't wait to harvest these onions and show you how they are doing because they are doing really, really well. In fact, I'm a little worried that when I yank it out, it's going to be hard. Fortunately, I put it in the top tier, and I think I've got some in the second tier, so I should be able to take it out and then take off the reservoir and then pull the onions out without breaking the pocket. Because if you saw the beet that I grew in here, that was quite a challenge, taking out that huge beet. There were actually two huge beets in one pocket, and I almost broke the pocket. At least I thought I would. But you know, the pockets are nice and flexible. That's one thing that I am grateful for. Even though they are solid quality, they actually do flex a little bit. So I eventually managed to get the beets out. But yeah, it was a real struggle. Probably one of the hardest things that I've done with the GreenStalk is trying to harvest those beets. It was not fun at all because they grow too huge. So moral of that story, no more than 2 beets per pocket, and hope that both of them don't grow into monsters. This one also is still in need of its amending. I haven't yet put any summer plants in it. This is all kale and things like that, spinach. I'm letting a lot of my stuff go to seed because I like to save seed, fresh seed every year, so I can toss out the old seed. And this one over here, so if you guys are following my channel, you know that I'm trying to do like sort of either thematic or single plant type of GreenStalks this year. And one of the varieties or one of the themes is going to be just beans. And this one is full of beans that I have started from seed. I'm actually letting the seed houses stay on because these squirrels, you guys, they just come and dig everything out. So I'm hoping that once the bean seeds grow a little bit taller, the squirrels won't be as interested. I'm also going to try putting some mulch because they like that dark soil, you know. So if there's mulch and leaves and all that, it's not as interesting, or at least I'm hoping it won't be as interesting to them. But yeah, for the most part, these are beans. I am doing a few flowers. I've got vinca, I've got some arugula. This is wild arugula. This is from the GreenStalk collaboration that I did, the seed bundle collaboration, and it's growing just beautifully, you guys. This was in that seed packet. And I've got peach melba nasturtiums, bush variety. These are going to go away. The pansies and violas are just going to die off in the next couple of weeks or so. And this guy is going to grow really large, Coleus. I'm going to try and keep him nice and trimmed and kind of bushy so he doesn't get too big, but Coleus can get pretty large in the GreenStalk. My beautiful sweet peas are also on their way out. So this is also the time of year where I save sweet pea seeds. So even though it's looking kind of bedraggled, that's kind of intentional because guess what, you guys? Lots and lots of seed pods forming, and most of my friends want this particular variety. This was given to me by Rebecca from Happy Heart Farms on Instagram. I love my Instagram friends in addition to my YouTube friends. So follow me on Instagram if you're not already, GreenLove121. And you can actually DM me, direct message me over there. You can't do that on YouTube. So follow me if you can, and we can have a more, I guess, personal gardener connection. And over here, the rest of this I backfilled like I said I was going to do. So I didn't unstack and restack. And I have planted a lot of peppers and eggplants, and I just got these in here, so they are kind of looking a little small and weak, but they are going to fill out like you won't believe in the next few weeks. So really excited about that. Both these are still actually, yeah, this one is still in need of backfilling, but I want to show you this one. Some of it has been backfilled, but this one is on its way out. This is what all my pansies are going to look like in no time at all because, you know, the weather's really warm. But guess what I'm growing over here, you guys? Soybeans. If you haven't grown soybeans in the GreenStalk, you really need to. If you like eating soybean, GreenStalks grow soybeans really well. So I highly recommend it. Yes, beans are great, but oh my goodness, soybeans, you guys, that's where it's at. So try growing soybeans. It's not too late. Get going now and you'll get a lovely harvest, and it's just a unique experience. Let me show you what's going on in my greenhouse as well. Don't judge me though, it's kind of a real mess. Everything's in transition, but I do have some interesting things I want to show you. So you may be wondering what someone in California is doing with a greenhouse, but I actually start a lot of seeds throughout the year, and I like starting them in the greenhouse where they get a little bit of protection from Yeah, the elements. It's got this nice little vent. This is the Costco greenhouse, by the way, Yardistry, and I did a full review on it. They've got newer models, but I think conceptually it works kind of the same way. But I love the fact that this vent opens when it's hot, when it reaches a certain temperature. No electronics at all, purely mechanical, and then it closes when the weather gets cold. So I've got a lot of things started over here, but rats have been finding their way, you guys. Look at this, all of my cabbage. Anyway, I wasn't planning to plant these anyway. This is all leftover seedlings, but just saying the kind of damage that rats can do. I mean, they totally stripped all of my cilantro. They're horrible. Anyway, let me show you what is doing well, what the rats haven't got to. Zinnias, you guys. So this is Thumbelina zinnias. They are all going to go in my Glacier Blue and White combo GreenStalks. I've got a whole bunch of micro tomatoes, not dwarf tomatoes, micro tomatoes. So these grow no more than like 6-8 inches tall. And I'm going to have 1 or maybe even 2 GreenStalks full of micro tomatoes. I am so excited. These are also small size zinnias. These are called double Zahara dwarf zinnias. So I think I'm going to be putting some of these also in the GreenStalk. And then I've got some larger varieties of zinnias growing over there as well, which will go in other parts of my garden. And oh, what I wanted to show you guys was this. Okay, you remember the seed snail video that I made not too long ago? Well, most of my seed snails I've transferred to the rest of my garden, but I didn't have a chance to do this one, you guys. These are Tiny Tim tomatoes, and guess what? They're not just flowering, they're also producing fruit in the seed snail. So yeah, I do come and water regularly, but it's a crazy experiment that I'm doing. I don't know whether I'll ever get it into my garden or just enjoy it for the heck of it. I've got friends who come over, and it's always fun to share the story of the seed snail with them, and they get a kick out of it. I've got some lettuce that I'm trying to grow. These large, again, Vego Garden Giga trays. They are very large seed cells, largest in the market. And I'm trying to grow radish, kind of indoors in my greenhouse, and lettuce, because our weather is too hot outside. This stuff bolts immediately. So I am growing there as well as over here, and look what the rats did. But anyway, these are ready to harvest, and these very quickly, like 25 days is how long it took to get to this size, harvestable size. So I might do another batch of radish as well as more lettuce indoors. So I walked to a different part of my garden, and I've got an actually decent size garden, and I grow a lot of non-edibles in ground. I've got very large redwood trees. I don't know whether you can see them over there. And these redwood trees, their roots like literally go everywhere. I read somewhere that the root system of the redwood trees can go as far as the height of the redwood trees, and these trees grow really fast. So their root system is extremely shallow. I think it goes no more than like 10 feet deep or something like that, which for a tree of that size, that is very shallow. And they reach out to other redwood trees. There's like this communication system underground, and yeah, their roots are everywhere in my garden. That's why I grow a lot in containers, and the GreenStalks are just a huge blessing, because yeah, I can't garden in ground because all the water gets drunk up by the redwood trees. All the fertility that I put in the soil, everything the redwood trees suck up. So anyway, I am growing in the GreenStalks, and I've got my raspberries behind me. Let me show you real quick. Yeah, so my raspberries are doing okay. They're mostly geraniums. I had a friend over today, and she was saying, hey, what kind of geranium is this? And I told her it's an experimental geranium. The leaf color actually needs to be this, but because I haven't added any fertilization to these GreenStalks in over a year, the leaves are almost white. So yeah, new unique variety that I am developing because I am really not giving it any food to eat. And then, oh my goodness, the marguerite daisies coming back. These keep coming back as long as you deadhead them. They keep coming back over and over again, and they're just so gorgeous. And check out the snapdragons, you guys. I just love snapdragons. Look at them. And they're perennial in my zone 9B climate, which is pretty awesome. We're entering the let it grow wild part of my garden. All this all of my garden was, let me actually spin you around real quick. All of it was just lawn, just about maybe 3 years ago. Everything was lawn. And we dug out, I mean, we wood chipped the whole thing. And sorry about the weeds and all of that. Been doing weed whacking this morning, but then we ran out of that little spinny thing that goes inside the wire. So yeah, that's why the garden looks such a mess. But anyway, I just put all kinds of plants in here. So no rhyme or reason. I'm just trying to keep roots in the soil. And eventually I'm gonna, I'm gonna be much more thoughtful about what I put in here. But right now, whatever grows well is what is growing, like these geraniums and bulbine and oh my goodness, scabiosa. Scabiosa is literally everywhere. It's a beautiful flower and I can't wait for it to flower, but it will take over my entire yard if I let it. And I'm trying to grow plants that are drought tolerant so I don't have to water them or put irrigation for them, like this beautiful mallow. I just absolutely love this mallow tree and it grows very quickly and it looks gorgeous and it doesn't need a lot of water at all. Anyway, that's why my GreenStalks and my container garden is so important to me, because there's a lot that I just can't control in my garden right now. I just have a lot going on, and these GreenStalks give me a place of peace. I mean, I can come over here, I feel like I'm in control of this space, I can grow beautiful things, and I can forget about the rest of the world. Similarly with a lot of my containers, which I am taking good care of, they just bring me a lot of joy in the garden. Anyway, let me show you my in-ground garden. In spite of the fact that the redwoods are around, I am managing to do okay in some parts of my garden. So back to the wild part of my garden. These plants over here are native asters, and they will get covered in purple flowers in a few weeks' time, and they will stay covered in flowers like throughout most of the summer. And they're called keystone natives because they bring in much more than their fair share of pollinators. I've got all the way back there Ceanothus or California lilac, which is also a keystone native. So I am trying to grow keystone natives because it's just so important to bring in the pollinators. Plus, as you can see, they will take over whatever space you let them. So they actually thrive in our dry, drought climates. And over here, I have got, sorry about the weeds again, I'm kind of embarrassed. But yeah, this actually is what I call my rain garden. And the idea behind the rain garden is you collect water from the roof and you use a pipe to sort of drain it into a garden where you kind of dig out the soil and then you amend it, and so the water kind of flows in here and it stays in here rather than flowing off into wherever it flows off into. So it actually stays in your garden and waters your plants. And I tried planting natives over here, and I've got a few actually, but a lot of it has been taken over by scabiosa. And I actually started planting the scabiosa because the flowers are beautiful, but they have really taken over. So I'm doing a few more things. I'm adding that's coneflower, a few colors of coneflower, and some other things. I've got some white sage over here. But as you can see, depending on what you grow, they can get pretty invasive. Even natives can get pretty invasive, but things like scabiosa will actually choke out your native plants, and so they are not such a good idea. So I try to keep them local in these beds. I pull them out from everywhere else, but as you can see, they are growing everywhere. Oh, actually, speaking of growing everywhere, that is mint, another very invasive thing that I grew over here that is, it's growing everywhere. So yeah, mint. So this part of my garden, I had a vision a couple of years ago when I put in this long bed over here. I was going to plant zinnias. This was going to be my flower corridor. So my mother had this expression, man proposes, God disposes, right? She's quite religious. And everything I planted over here, squirrels and rats just dug up and ate. So I decided I would just plant whatever would grow. And so I am growing you know, whatever. I've got some daisies. This is evening primrose. This is gladioli. This is geraniums, more scabiosa. And oh, these lovely ones are statice. I've got several colors of those. And oh my goodness, you guys, this gladioli opened and it's actually on its way out, but beautiful pink flowers. I've got some society garlic growing over here. So all kinds of everything, you know, and that's the style that I'm adopting in most of my garden. I just want to keep roots in the soil and build the soil, and then I will slowly start putting the things that I really want. But right now, whatever is growing, and frankly, it's not looking so bad. Okay, so I'm going to take you into the squirrel cage. We call it the squirrel cage, but it's really an enclosure that my husband and my son built in August of last year. So I am so excited to use it because I just completely let these 6 very large beds kind of lay fallow because everything I grew in it, the squirrels were getting. Everything, you guys. Tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, oh, black-eyed peas, everything was being taken by the squirrels. And it got so frustrating for me. I'm like, why do I even bother, right? I was growing so much and I was like, you know, some for you, some for me, but no, they left nothing for me. So I decided that I was not going to grow anything anymore because it was just too disappointing for me. So my husband and my son were so kind and they built this enclosure and I am loving it. I'm like a kid in a candy store, planting all kinds of things in it. I still have some bowls and they kind of dig underneath, but I think they're a little bit more manageable than the squirrels. So let me show you what I am planting in the squirrel cage. My son is so cute. He built this little, put this little sign over here, no squirrels, no rats. And my husband's like, well, if that's all it took, why did we bother to build the squirrel cage? Anyway, let me show you what I've got going in here. Oh, by the way, this gap over here, it's looking a little wide to me. You guys tell me what you think. Can the not squirrels, the rats, can they fit through it? Mice, maybe? I don't know. I'm putting a brick in front of it because I am not sure whether they can get in. It's amazing what small spaces they can fit through. Okay, we'll start from that end because I want to show you the new tomato trellising system. First, let me start with this one. I've got a lot of tomato plants in here, maybe, I don't know, 12, 16, something like that. And this is what I call my chaos trellising. This is where I just looked around my garden, found whatever I could, old tomato cages, things that I made myself, stakes, what have you. I just brought everything over here, even hoop house things that I was going to be tying my tomatoes to because there's a lot of tomatoes growing in here. And again, they seem to be doubling in size every few days. They're growing really, really fast. So this is the chaos trellising. Now let me show you the more organized trellising. And if you guys have tried it, tell me what you think. This is what's called the low and lean method. And the way that it works is you've got these kinds of things. I bought these, I think, on Amazon. And yeah, so what you do is you actually put a string all the way down here. And then as the tomato grows, and now know that these tomato plants are indeterminate. They can grow to 8, 10, 12 feet. And this is only about maybe 5 feet, 6 feet tall. So what's going to happen is they're going to grow. They're going to reach the top over here. And then as they reach the top, I will start unwinding, releasing more, putting more slack into the string. And then the tomato plant is going to start laying down just like it does in its vining habit. And so that way I can accommodate more height to the tomato plant and let it do what it does best, which is vine. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to have to keep the stem to maybe no more than 2 liters, and I'll also have to stay on top of pruning off the suckers. So it is not easy because, you know, the suckers really come in fast, especially during the first couple of months or so that you've planted the tomatoes. So you got to stay on top of that, and the tomato plants grow really fast. But I am hoping that this method will actually result in me being able to place the tomato plants much closer together. You can see they are like maybe a foot apart. And usually you want more than that. You want at least 18 inches, but I'm packing them a lot closer. So hopefully more tomato plants and less disease because I'm going to be keeping the stems nice and clean and pruning to just 2 liters. So let's see how that goes. If you guys have tried the low and lean method, then let me know. Let me know anything, any gotchas that I need to watch out for, that I can plan for in advance, and follow along. I will definitely give you updates and show you guys how this is doing, because guess what? The tomatoes are growing at the speed of light. Another thing that I am super excited to grow this year for the first time, well, technically not the first time, maybe the second time, but the first time I didn't really pay attention. Dahlias. So the last time I grew dahlias, I didn't know what I was doing. I got a bag from Costco. I stuck it in some dry soil, dried out soil somewhere, didn't pay attention to it, didn't do very well. But this year I'm paying a little bit more attention to it. I'm reading up about it. I'm reading about dahlia diseases like dahlia gall. Have you guys heard of that? Well, hopefully this is a fresh batch of dahlias that I got from Costco, as well as I ordered some from Dutch Grown online. I ordered the Cafe au lait dahlia, which is a very popular dahlia. So excited to grow all of that. So let me show you how I am set up to grow my dahlias. So one of the nice things about this cage is that we have got hardware cloth on the top, and these wooden posts were put in place in order to hold up that thing. But guess what? I can double it up for trellising needs. So that's kind of what I've done here for the dahlias, because they do need to be able to stand up straight. And I think as they get really heavy with blooms, they could bend and all of that. So I've got this netting over here to hold them up as they grow. And one thing that I am doing, which apparently you're supposed to do in order to get a lot of dahlias, is you want to pinch off the growing tip. So once they get about 4 sets of leaves, you want to pinch off the growing tip, and that way they branch out more and produce more dahlias. But I've got like 5 varieties actually growing over here, and they're growing really well so far. So fingers crossed that they do well. I will keep you updated. My cafe au lait is sitting in that little gallon pot over there. I've got another clump that's sitting in this pot. So as soon as they start sprouting, I'm going to put them in the ground as well. This soil is nice. It is, I think it's about maybe 18 inches of soil over here. So they should technically grow very well. And I raked the whole thing. I put some, I dug a little bit to make sure that there were no roots, loosened up the soil and all of that. So hopefully they'll do well. I went to the other side of the dahlias to show you this. You guys, I am growing corn. I have grown corn before and everything got it. Squirrels got it, rats got it, raccoons got it. I just grew it that one time and then I never grew it again. But again, I am trying to grow corn, you guys, and everything is surviving so far. And I'm doing this modified, I guess, 3 sisters method, where you grow corn, and then once the corn reaches a certain height, you can actually start pole beans, and then the pole beans technically can grow on the corn, and then you grow some kind of a vining squash underneath, which will keep the soil nice and cool, and hopefully the corn will grow well. Now, what I understand is that sweet corn stems are not really strong enough to hold, pole beans. And so what I've done is, instead of pole beans, I'm growing black-eyed peas. And black-eyed peas don't grow very tall, and so they shouldn't weigh down the whole plant. I'm also growing sunflowers. Again, sunflowers is one of those things that squirrels just take down every time in my garden. So hopefully I'm going to be able to grow some decent sized sunflowers. So far, so good, you guys. I've got my strawberry GreenStalk over here, lemon GreenStalk, in which I'm growing all strawberries, and rooting my little suckers in these strawberry cups. So cute. And yeah, the strawberries are doing really, really well. Now, I usually cut off all the suckers because, I want the plant to produce fruit. But because I've got these little cups that I wanted to try, I've actually been letting some of the suckers happen. And yeah, lots of strawberries coming in. They're a little bit late this season, but doing well. Look at that. Doing just beautiful. Got more tomatoes that I'm doing the low and lean method that need to be planted in the ground. And then over here, I've got this trellis, Amazon trellis. Again, I'll put links to all of these in the description if you guys are interested. But I am growing loofah, you guys. I'm growing my own sponge this year. Again, never been able to grow loofah, cantaloupe, watermelon, none of that because of critters just taking everything. So hopefully this year I'll be able to grow just a little bit more. So got some dwarf baby sunflowers, which are just adorable, growing over here. In that, I've got bitter melon, I've got black-eyed Susan vine, and this is the bed that gets a lot of vole activity. So keeping an eye on it, and I might have to do something to take control of the voles. In this bed, I've got asparagus. This is, I think, the 5th year I'm growing asparagus. So at this time of year, they just sort of produce these large fronds. And I've actually got, this one is still edible. It's a purple passion asparagus. But I've got my old tomato cages that I don't really use for tomatoes anymore. And they actually do a decent job holding up asparagus because asparagus fronds are really light. They tend to fall over, which is what I'm trying to avoid. And I've got strawberries, which apparently are good companion plants for asparagus. And you know what's interesting, you guys? Nothing is eating them, even though they're on the ground. Usually roly-polies eat them. I do have roly-polies, but they seem to be leaving the strawberries alone. I don't know why. I am just praying that my luck will continue. And let's see. The other thing that I've planted in this is a lot of peanuts. So I'm hoping that they're going to start sprouting. I've got squash as well. This is, I believe, danja squash too. No, this is kabocha squash. And then over here, I've got yacon, which is a root vegetable. It's called ground apple. It's actually very tasty, and I'm hoping that I will do a good job looking after it and produce some more sustainable crops. I have so many things to show you guys, but it is getting a little bit dark. I just want to show you the last of my green stalks that, yeah, definitely transition mode, but I am excited for what's next for them. Yeah, my glacier blue and snow green stalks. I chopped off all the painted daisies. For those of you that follow my channel, you will remember that I had these really long stemmed painted daisies. They looked beautiful for a while and then they just did not look good. I've taken them all down and I am going to be amending these. My pansies are all on their way out as well. Daisies are reaching the end of their tether too. And then I have got lantana that's starting to, enjoy the warm weather. Now, lantana is not something that I would normally grow in the green stalk, so I will wait till that grows a little bit more. Maybe I'll dig it out and put it in ground somewhere because guess what? It's a perennial. And my chrysanthemums came back, which is kind of interesting. These bloomed in fall and they bloomed again in spring. So that's kind of nice. I've got another color of lantana over here, which is starting to, now that it's getting some light with all those painted daisies taken out, a lot of things that I didn't even know were over there, I am able to see. But this one, both these are going to be full of little zinnia plants. So I can't wait to grow those. And then this sweet little spot over here with my snapdragons and my geraniums and a lot of these also in transition mode. For example, the nasturtiums, they are going to be, yeah, just I've got a few more weeks and then they are gone, maybe a couple more weeks tops. Petunias will start growing a lot faster. They are already blooming, and if I deadhead them, they'll produce even more flowers. So that's going to look nice. The kale will probably do okay, but I think I'll take that out. And not sure what I'll plant yet, but these two pretty, very pretty green stalks brought me so much joy all spring, and I love the color combination. And I want to match things up. So over here on this side, I want to have another two green stalks, just like that. I like the balance kind of thing. And I am actually thinking about doing the tomato and sage color, the two new colors, just like I've done over here. So these two, so I've got like the pink one, the strawberry pink is a leaf tier and the lemon is an original tier. So I've kind of got that inventor's bundle thing set up over here with 3 leaves and 3 originals. And I want to do the same with the sage and the tomato. I want to do a combination of leaf for the tomato and original for the sage. So I'll get maybe a 3-tier sage and I'll get a 7-tier leaf tomato, and I'll do the similar setup on that side. Let me know what you guys think I should plant in it. I'm thinking I should do flowers because, squirrels. But what kind of flowers do you want to see me growing in the new colors when they come out? So I thought we'd wrap up over here with my beautiful carrots that I have let flower. Can you believe how gorgeous these blooms are, you guys? I've got these, I've got onions also that are blooming, and the little bumblebees and all kinds of pollinators absolutely love these, you guys. So do let some of your plants go to seed and have the pollinators enjoy the blooms, and you'll get seeds as well that you can save. Because remember, seeds have limited viability, so you do need, especially carrot seeds, I think they have viability of only like a year, maybe 2 years tops. So you want to save seeds every year and use fresh seeds, because guess what? The seeds that you save from plants that grew in your garden get adapted to your climatic conditions and will produce stronger plants that are better adapted to your environment the following year, and as a result, better harvests. So save seeds, if nothing else, for the pollinators, because they absolutely love it. I hope you enjoyed the video, folks. Until next time, live green and love your greens.